So this is the second part of the chapter, gravitation, on thrust and pressure. Now from your childhood, you might have seen this thing that suppose you take anything. You take a rod like that and you try to prick this into the wall. And in another case, you take a screw and you try to prick that into the wall. Which will prick easily? The screw. This is from your daily life observations, right? Suppose there is someone who is trying to stab you, with the back of a pen, and there is someone who is trying to stab you with the nib of the pen. Where will your skin get pierced? Nib of the pen. With the same force. Are you getting my point? Suppose there is a cucumber placed in front of you. Cucumber. There is a stick that you have. You apply a force on it, nothing happens. But you take a knife, it just cuts off like glue, right? Smoothly. With the same force. I'm repeatedly mentioning the word with the same force because that is what is relevant here. That context is very relevant here. There are many other examples of it. Suppose you see the camels. You see the camels are having very broad feet like this. You ever observe a camel? Did you see the feet of a camel like this? Did you see it is very, broad? The area is very broad. That's the precise reason why a camel can walk effortlessly in the desert, but you cannot. Your feet will get inside if you try to walk in the sand. I'm trying to approach the concept in a practical way, okay? We don't understand what is pressure yet. We are just seeing the effects of force, okay? So, there are plenty of more examples. Like, suppose you have a huge truck. It cannot harm the road. But you have a roller of this mass, it can break the road. There are tons of daily life examples you see like that. Here we come across a term that is the effect of force. Effect of force. You are seeing one thing is very clear here. Whatever the force you apply, it has different impacts based on the surface of contact, isn't it so? If the surface area of contact is more, the effect of the force is less. But if the surface area of the contact is less, the effect is more. Do you see this? This effect of force is called as pressure. Okay? So what is pressure? If a layman like me has to define that term pressure, how would we? So, first of all, see, one thing is very clear that pressure is inversely proportional to area, isn't it so? And the next thing is, what is the effect upon which we are seeing the pressure? It's the effect of force. But here we use a special term that is called as thrust. Now, what is thrust? It is nothing but the perpendicular force. Yes, perpendicular force. This force is perpendicular, this force acting is perpendicular, this force acting is perpendicular, this force acting is perpendicular. Are you getting my point? So thrust is basically the perpendicular force that is acting on a given cross-section area. Is this clear? So the thrust may be same, but the pressure may be completely different for different surface area exposed. Okay? So I want you to solve a problem. Will you? But before that, let me tell you. Let me just explore the area of this. I mean the unit of this. What is the unit of thrust? Anybody? Newton, because it is force, nothing else. Perpendicular force. And what is the SI unit of area? Meter square. So the unit of pressure is Newton per meter square. This is also called as Pascal. Okay. The SI unit of pressure is Pascal because of the scientist Blaise Pascal, who has contributed a lot in terms of his experiments and conclusions on pressure. Okay. So you are seeing this pressure. The SI unit of this is Pascal. So basically 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. How to feel this? If a force of 1 Newton is acting on a surface of surface area 1 meter square, then the pressure on that surface is 1 Pascal. Is it clear? Okay. Remember to change everything in SI unit. Now, you might have seen a brick. Did you see a brick coming from Eid Bhata? Okay. Suppose this is a brick. The length of it is 15 centimeter. This is 9 centimeter. And the height is, suppose, 5 centimeter. Once it is kept like this, the other time it is kept like this. Okay, like this. It is just made upright, upside down. So this is 5 centimeter and this is 9 centimeter. This is case A, this is case B. The mass of the brick is 1.5 kg. Find the pressure exerted by brick in both cases. Let us look at the solution of this. It is very simple, very straight cut. The only force that is acting on the brick is the force of gravity. It is the force of gravity that will be creating the thrust, isn't it so? So this is the force of gravity. The force of gravity which will be expressed as thrust in both the cases will be the same. That is 15 newtons. Let's see. So basically 15 newtons is the amount of thrust that I shall experience. Is this clear? In both the cases, the thrust will be the same. What is the difference in A? The pressure will be is force by area. The area is 15 by 100 into 9 by 100 Pascal. Are you getting me? See, I am converting all of them into meters. Are you getting my point? So I am getting 10,000 by 9 Pascal. So it is quite great. So if I do 10,000 by 9, I get 1,111 Pascal. Same 1,111.1 Pascal. This is in case A. And the another will be, I guess, 15/9 and 5 into 9. Yes, 3 times more. You see, this is 5 into 9 and this is 15 into 9. So this area is 3 times less. So the pressure will be 3 times more. Okay. Even without calculating, just by seeing, you can tell that 3333.3 Pascal. Is this clear? Okay. To both of you, is this clear? All of you? This is the way you calculate pressure. Okay. Would you want to do a problem of different test? Would you want to solve another problem. Okay, I'm just making it out of my mind. Okay, let us be a little bit real. So let me check out the mass of a camel. Mass of camel, average mass, 400 to 600 kg. Sorry. Okay, how much pressure can a human body hold? 100 atmospheric pressure. That's quite a lot. Quite a lot. We shall come to this later. 1 atmospheric pressure is 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Let me show you. You see, almost 10 to the power 5 Pascal. So that is a lot. 100 atmospheric pressure means lots. So let's not get into that right now. Let me give you a problem. Mass of camel, 400 kilogram. So let me start with the least. So given mass of camel is 400 kilogram, and let me see the surface area of foot of camel. So 100 square inch. Okay, 100 square inch. 100 square inch. Okay, let me give this. The surface area of one of its legs, or one of its foot rather, is equal to, or one of its feet, it is 100 square inch, right? Inch square. Now I'm giving you 1 inch to centimeter. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeter. Assume 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeter. Calculate the net pressure exerted by the camel on ground. Okay, apply a little bit of your head. A camel has 4 feet. So if 1 feet has a surface area of 100 inch square, I know that you will be committing this mistake. So total surface area is 400 inch square, right? 400 inch square means 400 into 1 inch into 1 inch. Okay, so basically that is 0.0254 into 0.0254 meter square. Please understand, this is 2.54 by 100 meter. Okay, so if I just calculate it, how much will I get? 400 into 0.0254 into 0.0254. How much is it? 0.2580. 0.2580 meter square. Now comes the actual gain. Pressure will be the thrust. Thrust is 400 into 10, isn't it so? Divided by 0.2580 Pascal. So it's coming to be around 1/4 of, actually 4 times, around 16,000 it will come. So this is 4,000 divided by 0.2580. That is 15,503. 15,503 Pascals, to be quite close. Okay. So you see, okay. This is the pressure that is exerted by the camel onto the ground. Now, will you do one more problem? Suppose your mass is, what is your weight? What is your weight? So 6 kg. 6 kg is your mass, right? Let me see the surface area. Surface area of human foot. 6 kg is your mass. That's the reason why you measure 660 kg in the weighing machine. That's not kg, that's kilogram force. That's in Newton, what you measure in your weighing machine. So human foot has a surface area of approximately 100 centimeter square. So surface area of one foot is equal to 100 centimeter square. Okay, find the pressure exerted. There is some mistake that is happening, right? Some mistake that is happening. Either the weight of the camel would be 400 kilos. In that case, the mass will be 40 kilos. I'm considering the weight. Then it would be just 1 decimal up. So 1550 Pascal. Are you getting my point? Assuming that its mass is 40 kilos. With respect to that, our mass is suppose 6 kgs. Yes. Yes. So how much is the pressure coming? Thrust, that is 6 into 10, 60, and 100 by 100 into 1 by 100. This is total area in meter square. Okay. 100 centimeter square means 100 into 1 centimeter into 1 centimeter. That is basically 100 into 1 by 100 meter into 1 by 100 meter. So that comes out to be 6000 Pascal. Now this is logical. This is logical. Sorry. Okay, so 3000 Pascal. Now this is also logical. This also comes out to be logical. Why? Because see, the pressure exerted by camel, we have double of it. Are you seeing this? Because the pressure of the camel is spread into its 4 legs with big surface area, and ours are not. Are you getting my point? This is the point I wanted to make. It's not about the thrust that is exerted. It is about the pressure on which it is exerted. Are you getting me? I mean, sorry, the pressure depends on the area on which the thrust is exerted. Okay? This is important. Yes. There is no doubt about it. All right. So this was almost all that could have come in the concept of pressure. Now there is yet another kind of pressure which is even more important, even in our daily life. That is pressure in fluids. Okay. Now can you tell me, first of all, this term, what is fluid? What are fluids? Anything that flows is called fluids. Now how easily it flows is, there is a criteria called as viscosity, which defines how easily it flows, but otherwise anything that flows is a fluid. So there is a pressure that is always exerted in fluid. Now fluid can be of two types, majorly liquid or gas. Both have pressure. Like our blood pressure, this is because of the fluids, this is because of the blood. Atmospheric pressure, it is because of the gas. Then you have pressure as you go down. As you go more and more down a water body, your pressure on you will increase. This is because of liquid, this is because of water. Are you getting my point? So what is the reason of the pressure. The moment you go more and more down, the pressure on you gets more and more. What is the reason for that? This is suppose a water body. This is suppose a section of the sea or an ocean. Suppose you are here. So the force is being applied by only this much of water that is there, equivalently. Are you getting my point? When you come here, the force you are getting is because of this much amount of water. Are you getting? This is from all the directions. This force is from all the directions. So what happens is, submarines, do you know? Deep sea submarines, they can never go below a certain height. It will just crush like anything. It will get crushed. Are you getting my point? You cannot go beyond a certain depth or else you will be crushed. This is because of the pressure in fluids. Is that clear? Like because of its dense atmosphere, the pressure on Venus is much more than here on Earth. So it is possible that if you are not ready, you might get severely injured like that. So is the concept of pressure in fluids clear? Why it happens? This is because of the weight of the fluid. See, so somehow it is related with gravity, right? Had there been no gravitational force, there would have been no pressure. Okay. Like in space fluids have no pressure. They just float like anything. Yes, they can. That bubble forms because of another phenomena called as surface tension. That is not our point of discussion, but it flows. It has no ability to exert pressure. Did you see this? It's only because of gravity that you are experiencing this pressure. Is this clear? One more thing that you have to understand is, in fluid, pressure is exerted equally on all directions. Is this clear? Equally in all direction, you will feel the pressure. This is the property of fluid. Okay. 1 atmospheric pressure means all around me I have a pressure of 1 atmosphere. Okay. All right. There is yet one more concept in this, and that is very important. That is called as buoyancy. These are not much of, solving these are much theoretical in nature, as in the scope of NCERT. This is called as buoyancy. Now, this is something that is in your daily experience. Buoyancy, whatever, it does not matter. The pronunciations gets different here and there. There is no perfect pronunciation. Okay, you can call it buoyancy. It should be understandable. I have called it buoyancy all my life. My teachers have called it buoyancy. I'm also teaching you the same. Does not matter. It least matters. So, see, here I cannot pronounce bio, so buoyancy is a more logical pronunciation. So what is buoyancy? This is a phenomena that you have observed every day. See, did you ever put your hand on a container full of water? Did you feel your weight to be a little lesser, the weight of your hand to be a little lesser? This is because of buoyancy. Okay, you must understand this. Ships float. Ships are such heavy stuffs. Logically, if you see an iron ball, if you just throw it, it will just drown. But a ship flows not only because of this shape, because of this effect called as buoyancy. So what is buoyancy? Buoyancy is the property of a liquid. See, every liquid exerts an upward force on an object which displaces the fluid or displaces a volume of the fluid. This property is called buoyancy. Let me explain this. Why is your hand feeling light? There must be some force that is acting upwards, no? That is making the net force less. That is because of buoyancy. Why this is happening? You are putting your hand here. Okay? When you are putting your hand here, this volume of water that was initially there is getting displaced. Am I clear? Because this volume of water you are displacing with your hand, a force equivalent to the force exerted on this volume of water gets exerted upwards. Are you getting my point? Is this understood? Or shall I explain a little more? Let me explain a little more. Suppose, you see, when there was no hand at all, so this chunk of liquid, the earth was applying same force to this chunk of liquid. But now you displace this chunk of liquid. So a negative amount of force equivalent to the force exerted by gravity on this chunk of liquid just gets applied in the direction opposite to the direction of gravity. Is this clear? This is the force because of which you feel light. This is the force because of which if you drop a plastic ball deep down, you push it and then you release it, it just jumps up and it floats. Why does it float? This is because of buoyancy. How? When you have a ball, plastic ball, suppose this is the volume of water that it is displacing, okay? Accordingly, the force that is being exerted upwards is because of this volume of water. This balances the gravitational force. Are you getting my point? Because the buoyant force balances the gravitational force, the ball floats. Is this clear to you? Anything that floats is because of this. Why does an iron ball sink? An iron ball sinks although there is a buoyant force, but the gravitational force that is because of the mass of the iron ball, which is more because of its density, this gravitational force is more than the buoyant force can apply. Are you getting my point? This is the reason why iron balls sink. Okay, this is all about buoyancy. Now a little more comprehensive and mathematical expression was given by this chap. His name was Archimedes. You might have heard about him. Archimedes. There is an interesting story that goes on. Shall I tell that? Or you might know. When he lived around, there was no democratic system. It was all kingdom and monarchy. So the monarch there, he one day wanted to know whether the crown he was wearing was of pure gold or not. And this job was given to Archimedes because he was the madman scientist. It goes like this. See, not that he drowned the crown first. He could not figure out. No. He did not drown himself. He could not figure out this thing. He could not figure out what the hell was happening. The king bestowed him with such a responsibility. And in those days, one of the favorite pastimes of the king was chopping the heads of people. Okay, this was one of the favorite pastimes. Like to chop potato, chopping people's head was one of the favorite pastimes. There is a bounty if you can do something, and there is chopping heads if you can't do. So he was tensed, what to do. He could not find anything. He thought and thought. Then he had to bath. He had a bathtub full of water. Then he immersed himself into the bathtub. Suddenly, see, all these days, water had overflowed out of the bathtub, right? He did not notice. Do you think that apple only fell when Newton observed in 1600s? Before that, apple never fell from the tree. Was it like that? No. So just like that, Archimedes observed this phenomenon right now, and the moment he observed, he realized, this is it, I got it. He jumped off naked, shouting, Eureka, Eureka. That means, I got it. Shouting, he went to the king. And the king did not have much to say because he knows that madman. So, basically, what happens is, then he becomes successful in telling whether the crown was made of pure gold or not. Simply by measuring the effect of buoyancy. We defined buoyancy in the first place. Now we shall have a way to measure the buoyancy by this Archimedes principle. Are you getting my point? Archimedes gave a law, a principle, by which you can calculate the buoyancy in a very beautiful manner. Is that clear? We shall be studying this law. Remember, in the previous part where we discussed about buoyancy and buoyant force, I did not tell you how to calculate that. I just gave you the idea, right? Now you have the Archimedes principle, which allows you to calculate this force on any object. Is this clear? So, just remember this law properly. What does it say? This is what Archimedes discovered in a bathtub. So Archimedes says that when a body is immersed fully or partially in a fluid, it experiences a force that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by it. Is this clear? Suppose you have a bucket full of water like this, just a bucket full of water, and you have another container around this bucket. Are you getting my point? Now you drop a stone like this here. Suppose you drop a iron ball like this. You will see some volume of water will get here, isn't it so? Now you can see what will be the volume of this water. Can you not see easily by taking it into a beaker? The moment you see the volume of this water and you know the density of this, can you not calculate the weight of this fluid? See, density is equal to mass by volume, isn't it so? So mass is equal to density into volume. You know the density of water, it is very well known. You will know the volume from here. Can you not calculate the mass? If you can calculate the mass, can you not calculate the weight of the fluid that is displaced, the weight mass into G? this is the force that will be acting on this ball when it is immersed fully. This will be the buoyant force. Are you getting my point? Clear? So let me make the calculation even more, more clear. So suppose the volume of the object is V, okay? The density of fluid, remember fluid, it can be anything, not necessarily water, it can be oil or anything like that, it still holds true. Density of fluid is rho. So now rho is a symbolism for density, like you have theta for angle, okay? Rho, R-H-O, rho, R-H-O. No, not P, that is the symbol of rho. Like this you call as alpha, this you call as alpha, there is no other symbol. This you call as beta, not B, this is beta. Like this is rho. Yes, not P, a carved P like this, a carved P. This is called as rho. This is a standard expression for density, okay? So the density of the fluid, you assume it to be rho. So can you tell me the mass of the liquid? Mass of liquid displaced? If the object of volume V is getting down, of course the volume V of the liquid will get displaced, isn't it so? So if it is fully immersed, so the volume of the object, let me write it in a more appropriate way, immersed. So V rho is the mass, isn't it so? So the force, here you see, weight of the fluid displaced by it. So this is the mass of the fluid displaced. So what will be the weight of the fluid displaced? That is mass into gravitational acceleration. That is equal to rho Vg or V rho g, whatever you tell me. This is the expression for buoyant force. See how beautiful and small this is. What is the rho? Rho is of the liquid. It can be anything. Water, oil, mercury, anything. The density of mercury is maximum. That's why you see the buoyant force is also maximum for a given volume. Did you observe this? Okay. Now you observe this. That's the reason why iron floats on mercury, but not on water, because the density of mercury is much more than 10 times more than that of water. Much more. Even more than that, I think. Something that needs to be really very heavy. Let me check. I have never searched. 13.5 grams. My God, 13 times of water. Yes, more than 10, I said. Let me see. Gold sinks in mercury. Acha. Your body will also float in mercury. My God. I mean, surprisingly, there is no such thing as what will drown in mercury. My God, there is everywhere. There is about floating and floating and floating. So you have to search it, because see, heavy metals also float in mercury. Its density is really big, because this can be explained from this Archimedes principle. What is the explanation? The buoyant force easily balances the weight of the mass that you place in the liquid. Are you getting my point? This is the concept of buoyancy and Archimedes principle that you can use to calculate buoyancy. Am I clear? Yes, I can. If you want, take one. You have a cube of side, suppose 10 centimeter. The liquid, the density of the liquid is, or water, it is 1 gram per centimeter cube. Find the buoyant force on it. Buoyant force on it. Without SI units, nothing is going to happen. Think about it. There is a trick here. Think now. Think a little bit. You will see that there is a way you can bypass this. My God. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Okay, so let's start. Okay, let's see this. Shall we? This is just a 10 centimeter cube. Let's see this. Let's check this. Let's check this. So basically, I'm asking only the buoyant force. So I'm assuming that it is totally drowning. This is my assumption. This is totally drowning. That may not be the case, but this is my assumption that it's fully drowning because I don't know the mass of this. So if it is fully drowning, so what is rho? That is 1 gram per centimeter cube. What is the volume? 10 into 10 into 10 centimeter cube, isn't it so? G is 10 meter per second square. See, centimeter cube gets cancelled. The only thing you need to adjust is gram to kilogram. Are you getting my point? 1 gram is 1 by 1000 kilogram, and here you have 1 by 1000 into 10. This is Newton. So 10 Newton is the buoyant force. Watch if you got the trick in the calculation. Density SI unit is kg per meter cube, but you don't need to do this in case it is in centimeters. In case the side is in centimeters, did you see you can just cut it in a very tricky manner? You can abolish the centimeter cube just like that. You can only focus on the gram part of this, okay? So 10 Newton is the buoyant force. I want to give you one more problem. Would you solve? Okay. Suppose now this is a box that is of height 10 centimeter. This is a cube, okay? Cube of side 10 centimeter. It is drowned. It has drowned by 40%. Not it is drowned. It has drowned. It has drowned by 40%. Find the buoyant force on it. The liquid is 1 gram per centimeter cube. It's water. Calculate this quickly. 0.004. No, that's too less. How much? Shall I solve? Sire, do you have any answer? Okay. Shurjandu? For Newton. Okay. Did you do it yourself? Did you do it yourself? Okay. That seems to be a probable answer. So, let's solve it, okay? 1 minute is over. So here, Remember the Archimedes principle, it is only for the displaced amount of fluid by the body, not the entire volume. Many of you would do the same wrong thing. This is the volume. This is the volume that has been displaced. 40% means this is 4 centimeter. And the base, it is just intact. That is 100 centimeter square. So this forms like a cuboid. Cuboid of the base of the cuboid is a square, 10 centimeter, 10 centimeter, and height is 4 centimeter. So basically 400 centimeter square. Okay. So can you find the rho Vg here? Can you find it? That is 1 by 1000 into 400 into 10. That easily becomes 4 Newton. Is this clear to you? Because the weight of the liquid displaced will be the buoyant force on the object. Okay. This thing you need to be, well versed with. So I think this is clear to you. Now there is one last concept here that is called as relative density. This is very easy. First of all, you tell me, what is density? Yes, in Bengali it is ghanotto, mass per unit volume. The more mass in a specific volume, the more dense it is. Is this clear to you? The more massive, the more dense it is in a particular volume. Okay. All right. Like mercury is very, very dense when compared to water. So what is relative density? Nothing. Relative density is the ratio of density between two materials, or the density of one substance with respect to the other. The second substance is generally water. Okay. So relative density is density of a substance divided by density of water. Do you know why this is the treatment? Why like this? Because density of water comes out to be 1 gram per centimeter cube. With respect to this, anything, it becomes very easy to measure, to compare. So what is the unit of relative density? Can anybody tell me? What is the unit of relative density? Now, relative density has no unit. Please observe, this is a density divided by a density. What unit do you expect it to have? This is density divided by a density. The unit will cut off. Relative density means you will only get a number that represents how much times something or a liquid is, or the substance is denser than water. Are you getting my point? Okay. Please understand, when length by time you have meter per second, length by length, what will you have? Nothing, just a unitless quantity, isn't it so? Is this very hard to fathom? Is this very hard to understand? So relative density is a unitless quantity. Suppose I tell you the relative density of mercury is 13. What does it mean? That the density of mercury is 13 gram per centimeter cube. Okay. Yes, exactly so. And because the density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cube, you have the density of mercury to be 13 gram per centimeter cube. Is that clear? Okay, now convert, this is your last task, 1 gram per centimeter cube into kg per meter cube. Not so fast, solve it, or did you memorize it already? Okay. So this is basically 1000 kg per meter cube. Please, it is good if you can memorize this part, because this relation may help you at many places. Do you understand this? So this is all about this chapter. So this chapter is practically over. Congratulations.